It was 2:17 a.m. when I saw it, or at least I thought I did. I was driving south on Highway 95, the desert stretching on either side like a black void, my headlights cutting a thin slice of light through the darkness. I'd been on the road for hours, and the monotony had my eyelids heavy. That's when I saw the shape. At first, I assumed it was Roadkill, a body sprawled across the asphalt, its dark outline pressed against the glare of my headlights. I slowed down, squinting. The heat of the car engine was a comfort against the chill creeping in through the cracked window. But then, it moved. Not the twitching you'd expect from an animal, but a deliberate, almost human-like movement. My stomach lurched. I slammed on the brakes. My tires squealed against the tar as my headlights revealed the figure standing. It was thin, unnaturally tall, and its head tilted slightly to the side, as if studying me. Its legs were long, spindly, and wrong, like they weren't meant for walking, at least not on this earth. I swear it stared at me with eyes that caught the light, bright, unnerving, and far too intelligent. I panicked. My hands shook, gripping the wheel. The rational part of me screamed that it was probably just a hiker, lost or drunk, but everything in my gut told me otherwise. I pressed the gas, tires skimming the edges of the road, headlights fixed on the thing. It didn't move away. Instead, it mirrored my motion, stepping lightly, almost effortlessly, keeping pace even though I was driving 45 miles per hour. My mind tried to make sense of it. Maybe it was a reflection, maybe a hallucination from exhaustion, but my eyes said otherwise. I thought about calling 911, but the signal was gone somewhere after mile marker 112. My phone showed nothing but the spinning wheel. I felt that old, creeping desert isolation, a place where help is a myth and the law of physics sometimes bends. The creature stopped when I stopped. I stopped because I couldn't move anymore. My car idled on the shoulder, and my heart pounded loud enough to drown out the whispering wind. Then I noticed its hands, or what I assumed were hands, dangling too long, fingers bent in the wrong direction. It tilted its head again, making a sound I'll never forget, a low, almost imitative whistle, like someone mocking a human breathing. I threw the car in reverse, tires spinning on the loose gravel. My headlights swept back across the road. Empty. No figure. No shadow. Just the desert, silent and vast. I pressed forward slowly, eyes scanning every roadside curve. Then far ahead, I saw it again. This time standing on the yellow line, perfectly still, not moving with the wind, not reacting to the passing cars, just watching. By the time I reached the next town, I was shaking so badly I couldn't speak. At a 24-hour gas station, the clerk looked at me like I was crazy when I asked if anyone had seen anything. "Seen what?" she asked, wiping her hands on a rag. I didn't say anything. I knew better. Some things you can't explain. You just survive. Over the next few days, I tried to convince myself it had been a trick of the headlights, a shadow, exhaustion playing games with my brain. But then, the photos came. I'd snapped a picture on my dashcam, thinking it might come in handy if something happened. I hadn't reviewed it until later, in the harsh fluorescent light of my apartment. The image froze me. The shape was there, all right, but closer, too close, and in the background, something that shouldn't exist on Highway 95, a reflection in the cracked windshield, a pair of glowing eyes watching me from the back seat. I never left the house after dark for the next week. Every passing shadow made me jump. Every distant sound in the desert night made my heart pound. And I couldn't shake the feeling that it had followed me off the highway. I don't know what it was. Animal? Human? Something else entirely? But I do know one thing. The desert isn't empty. Not really. And if you're driving alone at night on Highway 95, don't look too closely.
at what's in the road.
I tried to ignore it, I really did, but denial only lasts so long. A week after the highway encounter, I started noticing small things. It began with my mirrors. Every time I glanced at the rearview mirror, I felt like someone was standing just outside my peripheral vision, a shadow that wasn't mine. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. There shouldn't have been anyone below, but sometimes when the lights were low, I could see the reflection of that same tall figure, crouched, watching. Sleep became a nightmare. I'd lie down, hear the desert wind against the window, and something else. Footsteps on gravel, slow, deliberate, stopping whenever I stopped moving. I tried recording everything, phones, dash cams, even my laptop camera, hoping to catch evidence, or maybe just to prove to myself I wasn't losing it. And then I did. It started with the sound, a faint tapping on my windows, like long, crooked fingers dragging across glass. I froze in bed, every nerve on edge, convinced that even breathing too loudly would alert it. Then, I checked the dashcam footage from the night of the highway encounter again. At first, it looked normal, but when I paused frame by frame, I noticed something wrong. Not one, but 2 figures. The one I saw in the headlights and another, a shadow lurking just out of frame, mirroring my movements, watching me. And in the reflection of the rearview mirror on the video, it wasn't in the car at the time, but now it was, sitting silently in the back seat. My stomach turned. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't leave my apartment. The desert outside became a living presence, watching, patient, waiting. A few nights later, I decided to drive. I told myself I needed proof, some concrete evidence that would explain what I'd seen. Highway 95, southbound, empty except for the wind and my headlights. The same mile marker appeared again, mile 112. My pulse hammered in my chest as I slowed, scanning the asphalt. Nothing. I exhaled, thinking maybe it had gone. Maybe my mind was finally catching up to the exhaustion. Then I saw the roadkill. It hadn't moved at first, just a dark shape in the middle of the lane. But as I approached, I realized with a jolt that it was different this time. The head lifted, the limbs twisted in unnatural angles. But there was something worse than the stance or the size. There was a familiarity, that head tilt, that strange, mocking whistle. It knew me. I slammed the brakes, tires skidding on loose gravel. My headlights illuminated something impossible. Not one, but dozens. Shadows lining the road on either side, crouched, watching, moving subtly when my lights passed. I could hear the clicking of claws or joints, or something that shouldn't make sound in a living body. Every instinct screamed at me to flee. I hit the gas, tires screaming. When I glanced at the rearview mirror, it was there, sitting in the back seat, eyes glowing, smiling. The car radio, static all night, suddenly crackled, and a voice, my voice, echoed back. "Why did you leave me?" It wasn't just a voice, it was my own memories twisted and distorted, replayed in the darkness. The things I had ignored, forgotten, the fear I had buried deep inside. And it wasn't just in my mind. Somehow it knew my every thought, my every hesitation. By the time I reached the next town, the road behind me looked empty again. Mile 112, gone. Shadows, gone. I told the police what I'd seen. No one believed me. They chalked it up to sleep deprivation, desert mirages, hallucinations. But I know the truth. The worst part, I realized later, reviewing the dashcam footage, every frame I hadn't noticed, every shadow I'd ignored, had been growing closer, watching, waiting. And the last frame, the one I didn't catch at the time, showed a reflection in my side mirror, not the creature, me, driving, but smiling. Not my smile, something else's, something patient, something that had learned how to imitate me. I don't drive anymore. I don't leave the house after dark, and sometimes when I check the street outside, I see that same tall, thin shadow standing at the edge of the light, waiting for me to move again. Highway 95 isn't empty. It just looks that way. It started quietly. I thought I was safe inside my apartment. I thought closing doors and locking windows would stop it. I thought I had seen the last of the thing on Highway 95. I was wrong. It began subtly, a shadow out of the corner of my eye, a whisper of movement behind a curtain. The desert beyond my window was silent, but I could feel its presence pressing through the walls. One night, I saw it in the hallway. Not a silhouette, not a reflection, a figure standing perfectly still, mimicking me. My own shadow, elongated and twisted, mirrored my movements, except when I stopped, it kept moving. I ran to the living room, breath ragged, heart hammering. It wasn't there. But when I looked in the reflection of the darkened TV screen, it was, standing behind me, smiling. Desperate, I reviewed the dashcam footage again. Every frame told a story I hadn't noticed. Shadows moving independently of any object, eyes appearing in reflections I hadn't seen before, a faint whispering sound, like my own voice repeating my fears. Then I froze. One frame showed it inside my apartment, crouched behind the couch, the same thin, towering figure from Highway 95. The timestamp was from this morning. My blood ran cold. I had been asleep. It had been inside, watching, waiting. I packed my car. Desert roads, I thought, would be the safest way out. Drive until dawn. Drive until I reach a town. Anywhere. As I started the engine, headlights cutting through the darkness, I saw them. Dozens of thin shadows lined the road, blending with the desert. They didn't move like humans, they moved like reflections. Every step I took, they mimicked. I tried to speed up, I tried to scream, but my voice came out muffled, distorted, echoing like the radio had caught my tone. A low whistle followed me, my own voice, my own laughter, only wrong. I glanced at the rearview mirror, nothing unusual at first. Then I realized the reflection wasn't mine. My face was there, but wrong. Eyes too bright, smile too wide. The thin, lanky figure had somehow learned to imitate me. Every mirror in the car, side mirrors, dash mirror, showed the same thing. I was not alone. I reached mile marker 112, the exact same marker I had seen before, only now the road stretched endlessly behind me. Every turn, every curve seemed to loop back to the same place. I was trapped in an impossible stretch of desert. From the headlights, I saw a dozen of the figures crouched on the asphalt, on the roadside, in the distance, watching, waiting, learning me. I slammed the brakes. The car stopped, but so did time. Or maybe I did. Every shadow moved forward simultaneously, converging silently, impossibly fast. I thought about surrender, about closing my eyes, about pretending I didn't exist. And then I realized it didn't want to harm me, not physically. It wanted to become me, to replace me, to step into my life. The dash cam caught the moment I understood it. My hand on the wheel and another, identical to mine, resting over it. My pulse echoed in my ears, my vision blurred. When I finally looked up, the headlights revealed a figure sitting where I had been, perfectly me, smiling at the desert horizon. I don't remember what happened next. I woke up in a motel hundreds of miles away, alone. My car was gone. My dash cam footage had disappeared. The desert was behind me. But I know it didn't stop. Sometimes when I pass a mirror, I see a shadow in the reflection, mimicking my movements. Sometimes when I drive late at night, I swear I see a thin figure on the road ahead, tall, spindly, smiling, waiting for me to return. Highway 95 isn't a place. It's a state, a loop. A predator that doesn't hunt. It copies. It waits. It learns. And now it knows me. Subscribe for more chilling tales.